Welcome back to Hot Breath, the show where you learn comedy from the pros. I am your host, comedian Joel Byers, and our guest today can be seen touring the country, not only headlining his own shows, but also opening up for some of the biggest names in the game, like Leanne Morgan and Nate Bargatze. But his comedy journey started way back in the 90s when he was balancing a corporate day job and open mic grind at night. And fun fact, he was actually selling peanut butter for 10 years. And then just a few decades later, he develops a bit about peanut butter that New York Times has claimed to be what Jerry Seinfeld did for Pop-Tarts and Jim Gaffigan did for Hot Pockets. Our guest today did that for peanut butter. So ladies and gentlemen, hot brethren and sistren, welcome to the Hot Breathiverse. Mr. Greg Warren, everyone.
Hey, Joel.
Hey, Greg. Welcome to the Hot Breathiverse.
Yeah, it's good to be here, man.
Yeah. So, I kind of mentioned the peanut butter thing at the beginning, and we were kind of talking last night about it took you decades to actually develop that.
Yeah, man. I tried to write about my career several times. I took a run at it, about every 5 years I tried to, and I would get some jokes, but it was, it never really stood out. And then I put something out like in the middle of the pandemic. I'd shot it before the pandemic. And so I had like all this time and I was like, I'm going to do like two things on this next hour. I'm going to take another run. And I was kind of like, I'm going to take another run at Procter and Gamble. And then there's this guy that when I was in college, there's a comedy club called Deja Vu in Columbia, Missouri. This guy named Freddie DeMarco who owned it. And I worked there and he's a complete character. And I was like, I'm going to talk about Freddie in this special, and I'm going to talk about Procter & Gamble if I can. Like, those are the two things I would love to do. And I was able to get both of them in there. And I don't know, the GIF thing sort of just, instead of going wide on like, I was in sales, I went narrow on like just peanut butter. Okay. I sold like Folgers, Duncan Hines, Crisco, Hawaiian Punch, Sunny Delight.
Health foods.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, some of it,
Nah, hey, these are jokes here. I'm a comedian as well.
Come on. You're taking shots at my products. This is not a way to endear yourself to me, These things I feel bad. I gave my life to that.
Legendary products that changed the world forever.
No, I just kind of got narrow with peanut butter and I sort of adopted like this character of the peanut butter enthusiast and loyalist. And it's not all that far from the truth. Like I do know a lot about peanut butter.
Yeah.
And I was proud of Jif. So I just amped it up a little bit. I remember one time I was at an open mic like 10 years before and I just started saying facts about peanut butter. I was just like, guys, it's creamy outsells crunchy like 4-1. And I was like, and then my friend John Doling was like, he's a comic. He was like, dude, that peanut butter stuff is awesome. I'm like, I wasn't doing I just was talking about peanut butter. But that always was in the back of my mind, like, maybe Doling was right. Maybe there's something there. So I just sort of, and it was weird during COVID. For a while, you didn't have any audiences. So I remember like I'd walk and just sort of talk out the bits a little bit.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Is that how you develop jokes? Is you'll just talk them to yourself?
No, usually, I do sort of the free writing exercises. And then I have a few like joke writing exercises. And then, just if something occurs to you during the day, put it down.
Right.
But usually I'm just like, well, I'll be on stage within 2 days. So I'll just work it out up there, But during the pandemic, you couldn't. So I would like just say it out loud as I'm walking. People thought I was crazy, but I've done that at different times in my career. I remember like the first late night set. I just for like days walked around and just said it out loud as I'm walking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What are some of those joke writing exercises?
So, the first thing is, it's just not, it's the journaling is, artist's way stuff. We're just, 3 to 5 pages, cursive, keep the pen moving is the only rule. And if I think of anything that like seems different or interesting or, the rare case funny, I'll write it in the margin so I could go back and pick it up, The rest of it, I can't even read the cursive. It's just more of a thinking exercise more than a writing exercise. So I do that. And I think I think it's almost impossible to come up with funny. I think to start some, like, I think it's like, if you're searching for premises, see if you can find out like what's interesting or different. Like think about the last week. What stood out? What interrupted the continuum of a normal week?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's often I think you can turn different or interesting into funny. So that's one exercise. And then I like to take, like, once I've got sort of a premise, this could be something that I haven't done or something that's in the act right now but needs improvement. I'll just write it. I'll take like a notebook and I'll pick out like 7 pages, and at the top of each page, I'll just write the premise, and, then one on the next page, and I'll kind of go flip from page to page and just don't try to solve the problem. Don't try to be like, I got to finish this joke. Just fill up the page with different stuff. Maybe, how can we make it 1% funnier, or 1% more specific, or 1% more relatable? Or what is, like, let's come at it like, what people are associated with this joke? Like, let's interview that person. I mean, so I just sort of fill up the page, and, I kind of like no more than 5 minutes on each page, then go to the next one, then go to the next one, then go through 2 or 3 times. I think in that process, usually something comes out of that process where you're like, okay, I can take that on stage,
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is, like, you have an idea that this joke is about this, right? And you put it on the page. And then sometimes there's like this offshoot of the premise that really isn't the premise that you started with. And the premise you started with like isn't really relating to people, or it's not getting where. And this thing, there's something very funny about this little thing that's on a tree branch way out here. You need to be willing sometimes to just chop off the whole tree and just start with that little thing. Like that, now that's your premise.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. But sometimes I think we get where it's like, no, I have to, I have to stick with, and you can also go back and take another run at what you thought was funny. But if there's something that's funny, it's just so hard to get to. If there's something that's funny and the thought that you had, start with that. Now that's the joke,
And having that discipline too, because it's our baby. So we're a brilliant comedic mind and has this premise that is going to change the world. But this little thing over here is what it actually is going to.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just some dumb thought that came into my head. That's not even, but they laughed when you said it.
Right.
And so that's a giant gift. Keep it,
So is that how the peanut butter bit started to expand? Is you were trying it from a salesman point of view for the years, and then eventually like, let me try from this point of view? And then I
always did a lot of like sort of, there's usually characters in my act, and it's usually me talking to somebody, and usually I'm straight man or victim, so I did a lot of like like me being a bad salesperson, the challenge of being sales, like I remember one of the jokes was like, they used to have this thing called the assumptive close. That's how you close it. Like, don't ask the guy, if he wants it. Ask him when he wants it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd try this, like, Bob, these are the new Pringles cheese and onion. Would you like these delivered on Monday or Friday? You're like, I don't want that crap on Monday or Friday. I don't like you. I don't like your company. I think I'm going to get rid of the whole product line. You want me to do that on Monday or Friday?
Yeah.
So it was like that, which was a decent joke,
Right.
but it was like, it didn't really go a whole lot of places. And then what was funnier is I just started talking about, like, I just sort of listed everything about every product. And Jif just seemed to have the best starting place, because it was like, oh, there's 3. You know how when you're doing premises, you're like, okay, I don't know. Well, that thing, I at least have 2 funny things I know work. So let's go there on the open mic night. Let's talk about that, because I know I have 2 things that are definitely funny. So the rest, maybe in the middle, I'll fill it in.
Yeah. And it almost seems like you were so passionate about even just the topic of peanut butter that the audience, you felt more connected to the topic. So the audience connected to it more, maybe?
I think so. Well, I think I hit the jackpot with that one, because it was like, I was, the Jif loyalist, and I know a lot about peanut butter, and I love Jif, but people really love peanut butter. Like people love their peanut butter. Americans love peanut butter, and they're very like brand loyal and they're proud of their brand. And typically it's like my mom used that. So I'm not using anything. I've studied Jif since then, like the history, and when they first started, this is true. When they first came out, they were like Skippy. I think Peter Pan was first in Skippy. And there's a guy, Green something. There's a guy that patented some stuff for making peanut butter, and he worked for Peter Pan. And they started like cutting him out a little bit, or they were reducing his royalties. So he was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go," and he started Skippy. And that was like I think it was like the 20s or something, 20s or 30s. And then Jif came along in the 50s. They bought a regional company out of Lexington, Kentucky. But when they were making strides, and they were the first one to like put a little sugar and molasses in there.
Oh yeah,
they put other oils besides peanut oil. It's like, they hydrogenization. They use that process.
Yeah.
So, but when they first started growing, they couldn't really knock off like somebody's like a Skippy user or a Peter Pan. It's like my mother did, so I'm not going to change. So they got their original growth by kind of like knocking off the regional brands or the private label brands.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm kind of going through a similar experience I'm developing a joke about cereal right now.
Yeah.
And I love cereal.
Yeah, man. People love it.
Yeah. So and when we were talking last night, you had mentioned like not trying to just write about so many different things, but when you find something that catches, like go deep on that topic.
Yeah,
that kind of really changed my mindset around even the cereal bit, maybe going deeper.
Yeah, that's like Mike Birbiglia and I started around the same time, and he's a really good friend, and he's just an amazing comic and thinks a lot about writing, but he's sort of got me on that. Like if we tend to be like, well, that bit is good. Let's go do another bit. Like, no. Do the other bit, but go deeper on that bit. Go invest everything into that. That's your cash. Like, keep going. Keep deeper and deeper. He told me one time, he's like, you're hitting false bottoms, like on some of these premises, and you think you're done with them, and you're not, like really, like what else is there to know? And cereal's perfect because it's like, you come at it from every different angle. It's like, what are the different brands? What's the history of it? What does it look like in the grocery store? The stuff that comes inside, the prizes, the maze on the, like, it's just all that stuff.
Yeah, the mascots I talk about.
Yeah, and then get personal too.
Okay.
Like that's where Birbiglia is real big. Like how is cereal different to you in your life? Like what was the cereal routine at your house? Like, what did your mom, buy? Did you go to your friend's house and have different stuff? I'm like, what does cereal mean? When do I have it now? Do I have it like when I'm stressed out, or like I would, what kind of milk do you have? Like, just go through all of it. And 90% of it's not going to be funny, but it sort of starts to shape the thing. But yeah, I think it's a rich topic, but Biggs is always on to me like, hey man, yeah, that's funny, but what about, how are you involved in it? Like,
okay.
Yeah, how is your life different because of it?
That personal connection.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And sometimes I'll be like, well, there's not one. He's like, there is, man. It just may not look as obvious as like I'm talking about my wife or my girlfriend or, or my dad. But there's things about you,
Yeah. And speaking of personal, you journal a lot. Do you have a favorite pen?
Yeah.
Because I love pens as well.
What do you have?
Well, I mean, the Bic Atlantis is a daily driver just because it's cheap. But I've invested in some like Lammies.
What's that?
It's like a German brand.
Oh, really? I gotta
like
check it out.
Caron Dash is another.
Oh man,
you gotta out
let
on
me know on this. Yeah, man.
Greenville has a great pen store called True Fay.
Really?
Next time you're in Greenville, South Carolina, the best.
That's all. I wish I was just there, man. I mean, I am like only Uniball.
Oh,
now.
okay.
Like it's the only one, and it's the only thing I write with. I'm like,
the only thing. Wow.
The only thing. Yeah, it's just
this is old school.
Complete loyalist, man. Yeah, and they're not always available. So I just at some point I was like, there's no Uniball. And then I was like, what am I doing, man? I make a good amount of like. I just went and I like ordered like 100 Uniballs.
Yeah, and all my nice pens, I've lost most of them. So it's I just got to keep it simple.
My mom got me a really nice pen. My old manager got me a really nice pen, and I immediately lost.
Yeah,
them.
I've lost all of them.
But even then, like I think I'd still prefer writing with a Uniball.
Yeah, I always come back to that, or a Sharpie S Gel is one too.
Really?
Yeah, that's a good gel pen. It doesn't smudge.
I think I've got. I don't know, man.
Uniball loyalist. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have a couple of those. I don't know. I trust you, but
Well, before we land the plane here, because your second show is about to start, I had a question from our Patreon, and this is something I was curious of as well. Is how did you get connected with Nate, and how did you start working together?
so I mean, the first time I met Nate, there was a CMT had like a comedy show.
Oh, way back in the day.
Yeah,
yeah.
And Nate at that time, Nate had to be probably like in his early 20s, and he was, I'm a lot older than Nate, so I was probably mid 30s, early mid 30s, and he was a young guy, and we just all went to Nashville, and I was like, this guy's good, and then I ran into him. I moved to New York several years later. I stay in touch with him just a little bit, and got to know him there. I think even Nate opened for me, I think like once or twice. Yeah. So we were always friendly, and you could always tell like, oh, there's something pretty special about this guy. I don't know if anybody could predict, what's going on now, but he always had sort of an ease of delivery, and like I don't know. I grew up on the road. I try to lean back and let it come to me, but I push sometimes. I push the pace. I push the volume. Nate never.
Yeah.
Ever. It's just always sort of like, I'm going to say these things, and he's kind of always been that, man. It's amazing. So I think it's, but anyways, so I knew him there. And then 800-pound gorilla sort of helped me maybe revive my career. I don't know.
Great. Yeah.
I was like one of the first albums with them. And then Nate produced a special for Mike Vecchione, a friend of mine.
Yep.
Just awesome comic.
Very.
Really funny guy. And he was like, I'm going to direct Mike's special. And then he was like, I'm going to go to, he's like, I want to do a couple more. And he partnered with 800-pound gorilla because, they had the production crew, and they,
right.
So Nate directed him. And so 800-pound gorilla and I were working on something, it was the peanut butter thing. And, I had gone clean. I was never filthy, but I was a little profane probably 10 years ago, 20 years ago, So I'd been clean for quite a while. And they went to Nate. They're like, hey, man, I know you want to do it. Greg Warren's got a thing. And Nate's like, yeah, I know Greg. Yeah, let's see it. And so I did that with him. That was the Salesman. And he was awesome to work with. Pretty much, wasn't like telling me what to do. In the edit, he had like 4 notes, and they were all like amazing notes.
Right.
Like he called it the Salesman. I think I want to call it something like Peanut Butter Boy or something stupid. Yeah, it was terrible. Yeah, I did. It was Peanut Butter Boy. And Nate was like, no, we're not going to do that.
Right.
I had a lot of material. It was good material. He said it was like about like college football cheers and stuff.
Right.
And he was like, this doesn't belong in that special. Use it as something else. And then we had like an intro and me walking out, and we had trying a bunch of stuff. And late in the process, he's like, hey man, your first joke's really good. We're going to start on the joke. Like no walk up, no nothing, quick, like little title card and then the joke. And I was like, really? And they're like, man, that set the whole, like that was the only thing he really weighed in on. They were all perfect. So, yeah. So yeah. And then I also right around that time started being a guest on his podcast, and it just, Aaron and Bates and Nate and Dusty, like they're just great guys. And I have a blast on them there. And I sort of connected with his audience. And then, since then, I have a podcast called The Consumers with my 2 friends, Sean and Tim, and Nate produces that. So yeah, he's been awesome. And then, I get to open for him every now and then.
In arenas.
It's insane,
like
man.
20,000 people.
Dude, it is insane. I mean, I still get like chills watching him walk on the stage because, it's in the round. The floor's all sat. So he'll just like walk through all these people as this music, like they have this awesome hype video, and it's like all in Nate's career. He just walks. This guy just sort of glides through these
like
people.
the Messiah. He's like walking on water.
Walking through these people, like shaking hands or whatever. And they're going nuts, man. I mean, the video gets a standing ovation.
Yeah, the video's awesome.
The video's really good. So,
yeah.
So yeah, that's been pretty crazy, man. It's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
well deserved. You know, you've been doing comedy how long?
a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, I full time for like 25 years, but I was doing it before.
Yeah, yeah, well deserved.
Yeah.
But as we land the plane here, do you have any closing? And thank you again for your time.
Oh no, man, this is great. Yeah.
Do you have any closing advice for the next generation of comics out there?
I mean, a million things. You know, like don't stop writing. I kind of stole this from Gary Gulman. Go look. Gary Gulman put out a bunch of stuff about like writing tips.
His tweets were amazing. Yeah,
really good stuff.
Yeah.
But don't stop writing. Like there was I think I had a couple disappointments, you know, later in my career, and I was like, I think I'm done. You know, not done being a comedian, but like I'm probably just being a baby, feeling sorry for. And I just didn't do anything creatively for a better part of a year, you know, and it was like so, and then everything better happened. Like just keep writing, just keep writing, and then I think like. You know, I think a lot of young comics get sort of disillusioned or jealous or angry about the social media, you know, people that are like selling out comedy clubs because they're more just a TikTok personality or something like. And it's like, I don't begrudge those people. It's just a different art form. It's a different thing. Like it's not, if that's what you want to do, go do that. And that's not easy either. Like they don't all get to be famous,
for sure.
You know? So it's like, but there is a joy that I don't think that they get that we get, where like do this for a while, do this for 10 years. And then you're like, man, I have this set of skills that will never, ever leave me. Like I have this set that they just don't, it's not always about what video got the most hype or what, you know, like whether I'm hot or not. Like I have seen myself get better at this thing. So that's important, I think, to recognize. There's a really cool feeling to be competent at something,
for sure.
You know, and the other thing is like it takes an unreasonable amount of time to be competent at stand-up. It's not like your family's going to be like, well, you know, you've been doing this for 3 years and you're just not that good. Be like, yeah, they're not, and they're not supposed to be. It doesn't. It takes an unreasonable. I've done other stuff. You know, I sold peanut butter. I worked at a Fortune 500 company, like, and I got okay at the company pretty quickly. Like this, you're not that good, you know, for a long time. That's something. There's this guy Ron Morey, he's a great comic, who he told me one time, he's like, hey man, listen to your act, which of course everybody tells you to listen to your act.
Yeah.
But Ron was like, sometimes don't listen intently. Like just have it on in the background. Like when you're doing the dishes or you're folding laundry or you're driving or whatever, just have it on and just hear it. Don't actively listen, just hear it. And when you're younger, there's something about it just sort of seeps into you just get used to your voice. You know how when you're walking through the room sometime and you hear your buddy on stage and he'll say something, you're like, I immediately know how to fix that joke. Just switch those 2 words, you know, or whatever, because you're not emotionally attached to his material, you know. But when you're listening to your own stuff, you're like, I hate the way I sound. I quit my job for this. My girlfriend broke up with me. I'm never going to be like, I sound like that. I could have like, what am I, you know, like, and all that's garbage. But if you listen to yourself regularly, like every day, and while you're doing the dishes or whatever, you just start hearing that guy on that tape like he's your buddy when you're walking through the room. Like some of that stuff gets desensitized.
Yeah.
And you just, your delivery becomes a little better. I think it, you know, they're always like develop your character on stage.
Right.
Like you do, that really helped me develop my character.
Great.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we will have to do a part 2 and go even deeper, Greg, but this was amazing.
I enjoyed talking to you, man.
Yeah.
I hope I didn't run on about the
No, we could run on forever about it, but I know you gotta go.
I love talking about this stuff, man.
That's
I love
what this
comedy.
show is, you know.
I love comedy, man.
So we'll do it again for longer next time. But where do you want people to follow you or support what you have going on?
Oh, I got a special on YouTube called The Champ on Nate's YouTube channel. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yep.
We got a podcast called The Consumers.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah.
On Nate's channel
On
as
Nate's
well,
channels,
and all
yeah.
podcast platforms as well.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, yeah, Hot Breathiverse, go support Greg. This is definitely one of the best in the game and a guy you can learn more from just by consuming his content, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. and leave us a review on. I never say leave a review. I don't know why I said that. Leave a review.
Do it, man.
Leave a review.
Leave a
See, that was my salesman technique of like, let me just neg
I'm
myself.
not gonna go do the show. I gotta go leave a review.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Thank you, Greg, again.